What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today, this time on the main computer, and today we're gonna check out Black Myth Wukong. Now, it seemed to play pretty damn good on my secondary computer. You just can't like max it out with cinematic and get 60 plus all the time, and you can't have ray tracing on at all. Otherwise, you know, you're not getting any 60 FPS. Like maybe if you turn frame gen, FSR on, and whatnot, and then did the lowest form of the ray tracing preset, maybe you could get 30, 40 FPS, but that's not for me. So this whole game was built for Nvidia, so I'm hoping that this guy can at least get playable-ish FPS, so we can maybe actually walk around with ray tracing on for a change. Haven't even been able to do that. Just run a benchmark saying, hey, we got like 6 to 10 FPS. Not playable. Moving on, you know? So hopefully we'll be able to at least test that this time. It's still probably not gonna be 60 plus, but I at least would like to run around for a second. But anyway, that's about all I got for you guys for this little intro. So let's go and not waste any more time, and let's get into the game.
All right, so here's the settings we're gonna start off with. 4K, obviously, no motion blur, 100% resolution, and we're going to try ray tracing. Nvidia's full ray tracing. I think the game has built-in lumen ray tracing, which is why it's hard on some of the settings for AMD. But anyway, let's go see how this does, and if it's actually even remotely playable. No, not quite. We couldn't even average 30 FPS, and we got a minimum of 19, with 12.7 gigs of VRAM used. Now, maybe if we had a KS and a 14900 KS and like the best 4090, maybe I could have averaged 30. But anyway, let's go get a little gameplay just for fun. All right, here we go. This is with Nvidia's full ray tracing on very high. And who knows, maybe if I just dropped it from very high to high, it would be like over 30. It probably would, but I wanted to really test out the best of the best on the best GPU with the best ray tracing. And this is still the best it can do without help from DLSS or frame gen. And that's why I thought it was funny. I had people telling me, oh no, I have a 4090 and I maxed the game completely out, native resolution, and I get like 130 FPS. And I'm sitting here like, after running this bench, I'm like, yeah, sure you do, buddy. I bet. Anyway, I also have freaking beachfront property to sell you in Idaho, if you're interested. Now, obviously, if we turned on DLSS and put it on, let's say, performance, which I believe would be 1080p when you're at a base of 4K, then we might be able to get, like, close to 60. And then if we turn frame gen on, it would say we're getting over 60, but still not quite the same. And I don't know if I'm going to go through all that rigmarole. I think I'd rather just play this game on very high and be done with it, with some DLSS probably on quality. And then I can get, like, right around probably close to 100 FPS. But anyway, why don't we now move along? All right, well, this time we're just going to do cinematic with no ray tracing. For a second, I forgot what one we were on there. I did so many. So there's cinematic, and now let's run a benchmark and see how it does now. Nope, we still can't average 60, even just maxed out without Nvidia's ray tracing. There's still, I think, built-in lumen ray tracing, though. So that's probably what's preventing it from doing it. Again, this is at 100% resolution, though. We could probably just turn DLSS on and get over 60, no problem. But anyway, let's go move on to a little gameplay. Here we go. Let's get a little gameplay here. I think it's time for a little hitski. But yeah, looks real good, but unfortunately, not quite playable frame rates in my opinion. Some people might not give a shit about 60, but I think almost everybody with a 4090 does. I'm sure there's still exceptions to the rule, though. So that's why I just went through all the settings. That way I cover everybody's bases. Well, you can't win them all, but Anyway, now we will drop it down to very high, which I think we finally get playable FPS, like average 60 plus. And we are at 100% 4K. We're not using DLSS yet. We're just using the DLAA anti-aliasing part. But anyway, running that bench time. Well, nope, we still can't even do very high and average 60. We maxed at 69, nice. Minimum of 44, low fifth of 51, and 9.8 gigs of VRAM used. And then there's all the settings. Still, we'll go get a little benchmark, or a little gameplay after this benchmark here. So it must have been high, that is 60 plus. Here we go now with very high. And as you can see, you can get over 60 in some spots, but you're not going to get 60 everywhere. Like probably right when we cross this bridge. That seems to be one of the first places we start dropping because there's water. Water is hard for things to run in this game, I think. Probably because of the ray tracing. And I don't know if it ever disappears. There might just be ray tracing no matter what settings you use. I didn't sit here and do like research and know what every setting does. I just sat there and ran the benchmark a bunch of times on a bunch of different systems. So I'm starting to think I got a pretty good idea of what settings are hard on the FPS and what ones aren't. And we know for a fact full-time Nvidia ray tracing is just like, nope, that is meant for future GPUs. Or right now if you want to use all the help, like DLSS and FrameGen. Yep, there we go. Dropping a little bit. Not the end of the world down to 57 or whatever, but I don't think most people with a GPU like this are going to take that sitting down. They're going to go, fuck that, I want more than that. Although a lot of people also just use DLSS and FrameGen too. I'm one of the few people that generally doesn't like at least FrameGen though. In Final Fantasy 7, it came in, or 16, it came in clutch on my Asus G15 Advantage. But anyway, let's move on. All right. So, here's the settings we're running now. High. And I think we finally get 60 plus now. And we're still at 100% of 4K. We're not using DLSS yet. So, let's go run that benchmark and see if it can finally hit 60 average. All right, we finally did it. We averaged 76, maximum of 88, a minimum of 60, and a low fifth of 68 with 9.3 gigs of VRAM used. So, if nobody wants to fiddle and they just want an average of 60 plus, well, bam, there you go. Just run high. But let's go get a little bit of some gameplay. Now it is time for some high gameplay here. And it's still pretty damn smooth. It's not until I started messing around with DLSS and FrameGen that I started getting some weird frame time things going on this PC. And it didn't happen on my TV PC when I did all the same tests, so I don't know what the heck was going on. If it was just a fluke, or if maybe it's something to do with my 13900 KF. I don't know. Hell, it could even be something to do with like the drive. Well, this thing's SSD is the fastest out of everybody, so it's the only Gen 5 drive in the house. And it's nutty fast. Doesn't really do you any good when you're just like playing normal games, but once direct storage becomes a thing, it's going to absolutely scream. Although, who knows, by the time that comes out and becomes normal, that it might just be a normal drive by then, and there could be ones that are like Gen 6 or something that are just smoking mine. That's why I don't really try to future-proof too much, but I just wanted to give that a shot. Especially because I got a good deal on that drive. I think it was on sale for like $80 off or something, so I was like, okay, sold. I don't really need Gen 5 for anything, but fuck it, I'll go for it. Especially because this whole computer's big chungus. Everything was supposed to be kind of overboard. Anyway, let's move on. All right. Now, medium would never probably run settings like this on a system like this, but some people might. So I want to try to cover a lot of bases. I can't do everything because I'm sure some people would want me to go through like all the DLSS settings and all that stuff. But anyway, let's go run a bench. This time we averaged 92. Got a max of 105, a minimum of 77, a low fifth of 80, and 8 gigs of VRAM used. Now we can go get some gameplay. Here we go, medium time now. Alright, why don't we now move along? Time for low is upon us. I would not ever run this just like medium, but who knows? Maybe somebody just wants all FPS, don't care about looks. There are people out there that are like that. So, let's go ahead and run a bench and see what this does. This time around, we got 111 average, a max of 130, a minimum of 78, and a low fifth of 100. Only 7.2 gigs of VRAM used now. Though this game's not too much of a RAM hog, or VRAM hog anyway. So now, let's go jump into the game and see what this is like. Now here's low, and at 4K you can see especially how bad and muted everything gets. But hey, if you want lots of FPS, that's what you got to deal with. And heck, I had to run everything on low and FSR on all the handhelds and like the mini PC and everything. In fact, I think this game might have broken the mini PC. Like after I got done, like right on like the last benchmark I did, it like did the game all fine, but after I shut the game off, it blue screened on me. And then after that, it blue screened again after I turned it on. So I left it off for a little while, and it seems to be okay for now. And it got through King of the Hill. Although that's right, it did crash Chrome right beforehand, so I don't know what's going on with it. And then I did modify the thing, so maybe that's something I did. Maybe it doesn't like that RAM and that SSD I put in. Who knows? So I think I'm going to probably put together a new little mini PC that I built. It won't be as small as that one, but it will be a lot more powerful. And I think I'll do another AMD rig. I'd like to go do Intel, but not with all the issues they're having, you know? Anyway, moving along. Here we go for the next test here. We're going to turn on a little DLSS. We're going to do quality. And then after this, we'll do some frame gen. And I just pumped it all the way up to cinematic. I figured if you're going to turn on DLSS, maybe we can at least get 60 plus with cinematic too. I still probably wouldn't run this mode, but hey, maybe I'll change my mind. Well, here we go. We averaged 76, so wow, maybe I will play like this. Max of 85, a minimum of 61, a low fifth of 71, and 7.9 gigs of VRAM used. Alright, let's get into the game and see how it looks and how it runs. Here we are in the game, cinematic, and then DLSS on quality. And yeah, seems to look really good still. We're getting more than acceptable FPS here. But if I remember correctly, I can't remember if it was this or when I turned on frame gen, but we started getting weird frame times when I got close to water and whatnot. I don't know what the heck was going on with that. It didn't happen on the TV PC, or if it did, it was like barely noticeable compared to what was going on here. But I can't remember if that happened in this recording or if that was later during the camera recorded portion. Because I just did it on the secondary computer and just got some camera recorded gameplay with frame gen and DLSS on. Because I think with my settings, I'll just go with this. There's really no point. I just go with this. Just put everything and crank it up. Put DLSS on quality. Or if you want a little bit more FPS, put it on balanced. But I like to usually stay with quality. Balanced, I can usually tell a little bit of an issue, or at least I used to. Maybe they've improved it so much I can't anymore. But performance, I could usually tell if there was something going on. But sometimes in games, you have to turn that mode on just to get playable FPS. I think I had to do that in Alan Wake 2. Because I was using ray tracing and all those goodies. Anyway, though, let's move on to frame gen. All right, here we go. We're going to try out some frame gen now. So let's quickly look at the settings. Still quality DLSS is on too. All right, and that's the bottom, so let's run that bench. So now we got an average of 107, a max of 123, a minimum of 92, a low fifth of 98, and 9.8 gigs of VRAM used. And then there's all the rest of the stats and all that. So, let's get into the game. Here we go with frame gen on now. What's she up to, Mistin? She looks like she's trying to find something to do. So I don't know if it happens in this screen. It didn't happen just with DLSS on when I went up to the little water spot, but at some point, I think it was probably during the camera recorded portion, it just started getting some really weird frame times. Maybe it'll do it in this, but we'll have to wait and see. I got close to like that little lake and it just started giving weird frame times. But I did too many things, so I can't remember what recording it happened in. Oh, she's gonna go sleep in her tree. There we go. Those are the frame times I was talking about. What in the hell is up with that? Anyway, moving on.
Alright, now for some camera recording gameplay. Oh, he is back. A J Lotus. CraneGen does not seem to like that. But yeah, I wouldn't run this mode anyway, but it definitely doesn't seem to like water. Though it just seems to do that stuff off and on. Okay, well, I guess it's got nothing to do with water. I guess it just does that whenever it feels like it. In certain areas here. I wonder what it is about this area that it hates so much. Because it was being pretty damn smooth before. Me, I'd probably just play this mode with, on very high. And I would use DLSS. Especially if it doesn't do this. obviously it's still playable like this, but not a very enjoyable experience, at least to me. Now real quick, I wonder, is that cinematic mode doing that? Or is it just because of, oops, frame gen? Nope. Must have something to do with something cinematic. It's not frame gen's fault. But that's exactly why I don't think I play on cinematic. Although who knows, maybe other modes do this too, and that's just what this computer is gonna do. Who knows? But I'm probably gonna play this on my TV PC, so hopefully it's a lot smoother there and it's not just an Nvidia issue. Huh, interesting, you go away and these come back. Anyway though, let's go wrap this video on up. Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Black Myth Wukong on the main PC here. They did a pretty good job, though obviously something doesn't like cinematic mode, but I don't think I'd play on that anyway. Though, there's no proof that it would happen if I turned it down to very high. Maybe the same thing would happen and it's just a Nvidia or Intel issue or something somewhere was not liking the game. Who knows what was going on, but all I know is it was definitely pretty stuttery towards the end there and definitely not as smooth as the secondary computer was. And it's not like we could really use ray tracing that easily. We'd have to deal with lots of drops under 60, even if we used DLSS at like 1080p probably. Maybe we could work out 60 FPS-ish, but I don't want to go do all that just for some ray tracing. But in any case, that's all I got for you guys for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.